So I can't believe that I have to make this video, but I'm going to be making it because now I need to follow up on the video I made about defending a good priest and why we have to be careful with slander. Because so many of you in the comments, not everyone, I'm going to be clear, the majority of you get it, but there's an unhealthy group of people who will just spam comments and find ways to completely make strawmen about what was said or have clearly not listened to it. So let's stay tuned and let's talk about this. Hello everyone, God bless. This is Father Mike with a Living Orthodox Reflection. Yet again, going to kind of take a bit more of a bare bones approach with this just due to the serious nature of the topic at hand. Now, before I begin, I want to clarify. I have never once, taken this position of trying to vilify or accuse victims in situations where there are victims. What I have encouraged in that last video is to suspend your judgment until there is evidence, because a lot of you tend to project. Now, sometimes, and I'm sorry if this happened to you, there is a painful event in your past that might be causing you to get triggered by this, where you might have been abused by an authority figure such as a priest or a teacher or a family member, and that's terrible. Now, and there are other talks we can do about that, about healing from these things. This is why I do believe psychology is an important aspect of really what a priest training should entail, and that there is a place for therapy in these kind of settings. But we also have to, I'm going to tell you, you need to sober up. You have to realize you can't project your circumstance onto everything, because that will impair your judgment. And there has definitely been a few comments that have shown, and enough for me to feel like this is necessary to say, that there is an impaired judgment. Now, some people just love slander. And I've told people this. It's like, and you can tell the kind of spirit they come in when they say, well, how do we know if this is slander and not truth? How do you know that? And you can always suss them out by the way they come at this question, because it's not, hey, how can we know what is true and what is not? What are some ways we can maybe look at this logically to try to discern this? It's never that. It's very clearly sometimes with these people that for them, they want and need for the accusations to be true, because if they're true, they feel vindicated, they feel validated, they feel empowered. And maybe it's because they've been victims in the past, or maybe it's simply because they just love the pogrom kind of mob mentality to rail against an authority figure. Because unfortunately, one thing that's very common here in North America is a distrust, and I would even say hatred for authority. But it's ironic, because when these people come into power or authority themselves, they are very quick to abuse it or to feel threatened when that authority is challenged as well. And the reason why it's important for us to maintain authority is that heaven has a hierarchical structure. Hell is a demonocracy, right? There have been many saints who have said, heaven is a kingdom, hell is a democracy. Why? Because power's up for grabs based off of pride and ambition. But that's not what this talk is about, and please just disregard. My toddlers are always loud first thing in the morning. But the issue that I'm having with this, and that is really aggravating me, is that these people who love to cry victim, and I'm not saying that's always the case, but who like to even project this victim mentality onto everything, I've noticed do so off of just this complete illogical line of thought that, well, whoever is not in power is the victim. That's not true. And a lot of people also presume that we priests have more power and authority than we do. This is also not true. Our power and authority is largely spiritual. We have a spiritual authority that is definitely greater over the works of the evil one in terms of being able to exercise and the devil and his influence from a person's life, such as when we make a catechumen and when we do baptism, there's exorcism involved in that. We have a power and authority sacramentally to do this, that God imbues us with. We have the power and authority to perform the liturgy and call God down and for the bread and the wine to be made into the body and blood of Jesus Christ. This is something the angels don't have. But we don't have the authority to just wantonly make decisions or to just, completely persuade things in our in our favor. For example, I can't just take any old bread and wine and consecrate the Eucharist. I need an antimens, and I need to do it in the context of a liturgical order, and I need a bishop. Even though priests have sacramental grace and authority, even if a priest is in transition or in limbo between jurisdictions, he still has his sacramental grace and authority. He doesn't just stop being a priest. It's also about doing things that is licit and with blessings, right? So let's just be clear. We don't have as much power as sometimes people think. It's almost weird that people kind of will make these comments that betray this idea that we priests have this almost secular authority that we just simply don't possess, at least not here in North America. And the truth of the matter is, people in authority can be victims. The priest that I am mentioning, he is most certainly the victim. He hasn't done anything. And this man literally is throwing a fit because the priest isn't giving him what he wants. This is narcissistic. People who are narcissistic or who have narcissistic personality traits will lash out against someone, discard them, or attempt to destroy them if they do not cooperate with their demands or if they're not useful for their means. That's the thing here. It's not always just, because this guy's the priest, he's the bad guy, and we should assume as much. The people who have been making these comments, I'm sorry, are you deaf? Do you even care about being a Christian? Do you even care about the truth? I'd have to say probably not in some cases. This is a passion you're struggling with, because the evidence plain in the sight of this right now is not looking favorable for the accuser. Don't even call him a victim. He's an accuser. He's victimizing his family with his bad habits. And that's what astounds me, is that some of these people will overlook the facts that this fellow's an alcoholic. There's clearly an abusive dynamic. And because the priest wouldn't side with him and is allowing the wife to go through what she is entitled to go through on a canonical level, for all of you people who love to swing around canons, but you selectively choose the ones that favor you, the priest has to observe that and has to uphold her right to appeal to the bishop about this matter, especially if it's about an ecclesiastical divorce, which is permitted in the event that somebody is abusive physically, is a threat, is an addict that's not changing and is having a detrimental effect on children. But you people who like to go on and on and on about the victim stuff overlook those victims and how the priest is trying to protect those victims. And then he's being accused because this person is wanting to maintain control over their family. This is the thing. Zero critical thought. It's completely asinine and stupid. It's not healthy. And it's not Christian. And the truth of the matter is, you call yourself an Orthodox Christian, but then you say, Father, take this video down. It's irresponsible. Or, oh, Father, you should just stick to saying this and this. When do the sheep lead the shepherd? The answer is never. Some of us are put in this position. Have some humility. And sorry, but who are you that I should take what you say seriously? How do I know you're not deluded? Which in most cases, if you're telling priests, bishops, deacons what to do, you're pretty deluded. Why should I listen to you and let you lead me down a path that could delude me or harm me? I'm sorry, but I'll stick with what my bishop tells me. I'll stick with what my spiritual father tells me. And that is that. And if you've got a problem with that, that's your problem. Work it out. Talk to your bishop about it. Talk to your spiritual father about it. Talk to your priest about it. Unsubscribe from me. I don't care. I'm not here to win a popularity contest. I'm here to simply tell the truth and to do what I feel I can do my best to serve as a priest, to help educate people in a time with rapid growth in the church and where there is still not enough good resources in the English language to communicate these things to people. We are coming out of a very Protestant paradigm. And again, I'm not trying to insult Protestants, but the West and a lot of its ideals, and I'm not vilifying the West either. I love my Western culture and society. I believe it can be very Orthodox. We have to stop vilifying it, as I've seen on other Orthodox channels, which it's ironic because it's always Western men doing it, and I get being disenfranchised. But we have to purify it. We have to make it Orthodox. We don't need to reject it and destroy it. That's another form of progressivism that we do not need. We need to purify and heal the culture, not completely abolish it. So that's what I have to say about that. But to kind of conclude on this matter, guys, bear in mind, that by just assuming guilt, and let's say everything comes out to prove that the priest is in fact, as I believe, innocent, then what have you? You just victimized him. Are you going to ask for forgiveness? Are you going to say, look, I was completely wrong. I was too hot to trot. I was quick to fire off without discerning, thinking, or questioning things, or praying for people? I hope so. But I've seen it more often than not that people will stick by their position even when they're proven wrong because of pride. Don't be that person. Again, not trying to turn around and make the victim guilty or accuse the victim. That is such a stupid argument, stupid comment. You literally have to be living in some imaginary fantasy world where I'm saying this or promoting this idea when I've made it very clear that's not the case. What I've advocated for and continue to advocate for is suspending your judgment. Pray for both parties, but look at what is present and say, that's not right. People should not be turning on the priest because of a one-off accusation, the first one in who knows how many years, and it's in response to a very passionate and unfortunate thing in someone's life. That should really make you think. Not just go, oh, priest, he's an authority. Priest, bad man. He must now be punished. We must now scrutinize and assume the worst. I'm sorry, but you're the person who is actually making accusations against the victim and blaming the victim at that point. You will inevitably fall into that. You will fall on your own sword, and you will have to admit in humility that you were wrong. So, again, let's not be triumphalistic. Let's not be presuming to tell clergy, for one, what to do. That'd just be like me walking up to my bishop and saying, oh, Your Eminence, that was a great homily on this and this, but I don't agree with you, and I think you should say this and this instead. I would look like an absolute idiot if I did that. And there have been things that my presiding bishop has said or held opinions on that I definitely don't agree with. Is it my place to publicly disagree with him or even go up to him and say, Vladika, I think you're wrong? No, it's not my place to do that. Unless he's outright teaching heresy, which he never has, why would I do that? That's not within my oath. My oath that I signed is to be obedient. When you come into the church, into the body of Christ, planning to, I hope, obey what is written in the Holy Scriptures, in the Holy New Testament, and the entirety of the Scriptures, your position is to try to learn as a neophyte, to be fed, to be watered, and to grow in the church, not to think that you are the one who's going to somehow come and be the arch layman to save it. So, that said, the next video is going to be a response to some videos out there asking the question if psychology is demonic. And there's been some very good level-headed takes, and I will say there has certainly been some very biased takes that I think are concerning and not really portraying a fair picture of the whole thing. So stay tuned for that, because I'm hoping to have that out today. Thank you, everyone. Catch you in the next one. God bless. And say your prayers.